Everybody should be able to see my screen. You should be able to see the thing for the thing, and you should not be talking currently. So if you're talking, like Sricharan and Mateo are, you should not be. Or like Reed and Mika. Or like Liz. Okay, cool. So, now is a good time to make sure we're all on the same page here. The big three that I want to highlight are phones, the bathroom passes, and late work. Giving you guys my perspective and some of the things. I wrote up a new set of or not a new set, but expectations that I want us to make sure we're all on the same page on, that you will also be able to hold me to as an example, etc. Okay, so to find those expectations, you go into the replies on your PPS thread for period 4, your weekly thread, and you scroll down, and it's going to be right here, okay? I'm going to go line by these. You have a lot of working time today to do stuff from your current 3 periods or to sign up for a flex if you've not done that yet. We have 2 normal flexes this week, okay? And one of the things that I'm going to expect moving forward with the rest of the year is when I'm doing lecture style stuff like we are currently, you should not be talking. And if you are not listening to me, you should start. Thanks. Okay. So these are ordered from when I just kind of dumped them out of my brain, most important to least important, okay? A big thing that I have learned in my time as a human on this earth, granted, it's not much longer than yours, but it has been quite eventful, let's say, is you do not have to be perfect, but you do have to try, okay? There's something in Von Bargen's room that I find really fun to look at consistently. It's a good reminder. I just got to pull it up real quick. It says, this is a high-performing classroom. It is okay to not be correct, but it's not okay to not try. How many of y'all have seen that in VB's class, if you have heard? Okay? It's right on the front, right in the live on air section of when you walk into the classroom. Okay? I agree with that completely, and I know a lot of you guys respect Von Bargen, and so she's right. And she's even more experienced as a teacher than I am, right? So, I want to emphasize that I'm expecting you to not be perfect. I'm expecting you guys to make mistakes. I'm expecting you guys to goof up. That is by design. There's room for that in these sort of scenarios, in these sort of rooms, okay? That's an expectation. I expect you not to be perfect, just like you should expect me not to be perfect, okay? I've given plenty of examples of when I've not been perfect, right? Like, for example, your reflective project feedback, right? All I'm asking is you guys make some kind of effort, okay? Making an effort, even if it's not perfect, will get you really far in whatever career path you end up on, all right? If you're just putting forth energy and you're trying to do something good, it will reward you. And so I expect that out of this classroom. You should expect that out of me as your teacher. Okay? Does that make sense? Sweet. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the next one? Or are we good? We all on the same page there? Sweet. Okay. Building on that, the same way that you don't have to be perfect, you do have to try. It sucks to hear. You have to mess up. You have to make mistakes in your life. Okay? You could live a life free of mistakes, but will you have learned anything? It's pretty debatable, because unfortunately the hard way is a great teacher. That all being said, is that I also want you to be making mistakes. I also want you to be trying things that don't work out. I want you to be doing something that maybe doesn't work, but at least you learned that it doesn't work. This also applies to a lot of adult things, whether that's adult life, adult work, adult sort of in between. Messing up is part of learning, okay? And I expect you guys to mess up just like you should expect me to mess up. Because we're all human here. It's our first time being alive. You should take it easy on yourself. All right? Have some patience. Have some grace. Be patient. You have to mess up in order to grow. That is an expectation in this classroom. And I'm sorry the hallway is loud. Does that make sense? What are our thoughts on that? Does anybody have any that they want to share before we move on? Or are we all good? Okay, I'm assuming we're all good. All right, this is a big one. So I've had, as you've seen, moving away from the philosophical sort of ideas of the classroom expectations, is that it's very easy for us to be distracted. I say us, I'm grouping myself in with y'all because I am addicted to my phone, and it's bad. So, I understand that y'all have grown up in the world where phones haven't not existed, if that makes sense. So I know that my relationship to my phone, even though I am addicted to it and it's spent a majority of my life, I don't have the same brain that you do. And so our relationships with our phones are going to be a little bit different just by nature of our ages, okay? All I'm asking, because these are things that I hold myself to, and by extension will hold yourself to, your phones and your devices should be away when necessary. You know how I've talked about it's important to have a phone, especially for getting business done. Okay, I've had to use it in every job. I want that to remain true in a CTE style classroom. But when it's necessary, they need to be put away. An example of when they'd be necessary is right now. That includes distractions too. That includes web-based distractions. That includes any physical distractions you might have in front of you. I'm not going to talk the entire period. I'll tire myself out, and I know you'll get even more so. So when I need you to pay attention is when you need to put your devices and your distractions away. Side conversations include distractions. And that's, or sorry, flip that. Distractions include side conversations. So you have the opportunity to do these things, to be distracted and to work at your own sort of vibe. It's just when I need you to listen is when I need you to listen. And I will remind y'all with my voice, because the live on air sign is now just kind of decoration than anything. Okay? We'll talk more about what this actually means, like from a practice perspective a little bit later. I just want to set you up today with what this means. Some examples are going to include lectures or presentations from myself or your other students, any group activities, your group meetings, and any type of partner work or collaborations we do as a class or we do one-on-one. Okay? How do we feel about that? Good. Thumbs up? We good? All right. Cool. Now, on to a new one. When you guys leave the classroom, you need to sign out. I'm sorry to do this. I hate to be a person who has to police what you guys are doing, but it's a safety thing, okay? If you're leaving the room, you need to sign out. There are 2 sign-out sheets by each of the doors. You have the red lanyards hanging from them. Can you guys see those? There are a pen, a paper towel, the pass, and the whiteboard, as well as instructions on what you're supposed to do. Okay? You write your name and the time when you leave, you take the pass, and you erase it when you get back. Okay? 3 easy, simple steps. All right? You got to have a pass. If there's not a pass hanging on the thing, or if you look at the whiteboards like they currently are and there is no name on them, it's fair game. Anybody who needs one can take one and go to the bathroom. Okay? If there's not one, make sure you check both. I need you to wait until one arrives unless it's an emergency. All right? I'm not going to trap you here for make you bathroom prisoners either. Okay? That's not at all my goal. It's just to make sure I know where y'all are because you're my responsibility for these 50 minutes or 80 minutes. And I want to make sure you're good. That being said, I mentioned... Hey. Thanks. I mentioned emergency exceptions. Obviously, the rule that we talked about at the start of the year, if you have a bathroom emergency of any type, go do it. I'm not going to need you to explain to me what's going on. In fact, I'd prefer if you didn't, if it's a bathroom emergency. Okay? That being said, I've had students in the past, it's nobody in here, and it's also not anything serious, but they take advantage of some of this emergency exception. Okay? Maybe it's not exactly an emergency and they just kind of want to dip out for a sec. I understand, but don't take advantage of the emergency exceptions. Don't take advantage of my trust in you if that's the case. All right? You guys are adults, almost, basically, pretty much, of which I trust. Well, don't betray that. Okay? Save the bathroom emergencies for the actual emergencies. Don't cry wolf. Is all I'm asking with this one. Okay? Does that make sense? Good? Any qualms with that? Any questions? Okay. Cool. The last thing I want to go over in expectation in this room is time management is a valuable skill. This is something that can be taught, but it's more something that you have to practice and you have to understand. Okay? I still am expecting you guys to prioritize my classwork unless I have given you free work time. All right? So if you have a reflective project due, and that's the thing that we're using the work time for, I would prefer not to see bio work, math IA work. I would prefer not to see work that's not the reflective project. That's the time that you and I share, where you can ask me questions, where we have the mindset and the vibe of completing a reflective project, completing something related to IB PPS, your service learnings, etc. Okay? That's all I'm asking, is you prioritize my things. You guys are busy. I know how busy you are, as IB especially, career path no less. A lot of you are in sports, ASB, different extracurriculars, okay? Yearbook is another big commitment, all right? I understand that. I was a similar type of student. But my version of procrastination when I was a student was to do everything else except the thing that I was procrastinating. Kind of do a little bit of everything, which netted me a bunch of half-done assignments. But that's a conversation for a different time, okay? All I ask is that while I have time with you, while you have time with your classmates with the same responsibilities and requirements, is to prioritize my things. Okay? Does that make sense? I have the hiccups, excuse me. What that also means is late work, we have 2 major deadlines. We have passed the first one. It was at the quarter break. Okay, so anything before the first, or anything assigned in the first quarter is no longer accepted. All right? But the next one is basically finals. So anything we're doing up until now, or up until the end of the semester, I will still accept. I personally, as a teacher, am kind of moving away from the 30% late penalty because it doesn't feel fair to me to be late grading to give you that delay. You know, it's a two-way street, if that makes sense. So all I ask is that you turn it in because I hate giving zeros. You guys are more than 0 students. Okay? And I know you have other classwork. I know you have other activities. I'm designing our time around completing things while we have each other. It's on purpose. And I hope that makes sense. So if I'm using that time for you, I expect you to use that time for yourself as well. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. These are our things that I'm going to be holding myself and yourselves accountable to for the remainder of the semester. It is about 3 weeks until you go to semester 2, and then we don't see each other anymore. Okay? Everything, your 3 big assignments that are due, the only 3 assignments that are going to remain for the rest of the year are the RP, the service learning, and the language portfolio. All of those we're going to talk about. Those are all due at the end of the semester. Question?
The reflexive project 2 thing, the draft, I was in Hawaii when the actual thing opened.
Did you message me?
Oh no, I just saw it now because I can't
gotcha.
turn it in anymore.
Okay, I will talk to you in a second. Okay.
I have a question. This is like a general one.
I think that was all I wanted to go over, but since this is, I'm trying to make this collaborative, and I want you to feel silenced or you don't have the opportunity to tell me what you're thinking. Now is your chance, because you won't hurt my feelings, to be like, Blakeney, this sucks, and I feel this way, because that's good information that I can use. Or, Blakeney, this is great, and I'm happy with this, because that's also good information. So, that being said, does anybody want to tell me that this sucks or that this is great? You can, there's room in between, you don't have to pick one, but I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to yell at me if you want to. Yes?
I appreciate the fact that you trust us enough to not abuse the emergency thing.
Yeah, of course. You've proven to me that you can handle it, so I'm willing to reward that. Okay, nobody wants to tell me I suck? Cool. Jack, do you want to tell me I suck?
No.
What's up? No, I'm kidding.
I need a little more direction on like the language, the other stuff.
Okay, the language and the service?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Mr. Phelan has, what's the word? Volunteered to come in and talk more about that from an IB perspective, but I can also collect some resources from some other teachers. I know Renton and Kirkland also have this program, so I can talk to them and see what they do for these kind of things. Okay? Anybody else? Anybody else have thoughts that they want to share? You can. You will not hurt my feelings. I promise. You can also tell me after class if you don't want to tell it to everybody. All right. Last thing. Everybody voices off real quick. Are we good? Nobody has an issue. Okay? Yes? I'm hearing that right? Okay. Cool. The rest of this time is yours to work on stuff. That's me explicitly saying you can use this time for whatever. I would prefer it to be academic, but again, soon you will have your own time once you finish college or whatever you decide to do after high school. That was just what I did. It's up to you at that point. Okay. Thank you.